without further ado, let me welcome Jess on the phone line here. Hi, Madam Attorney, welcome, ma'am. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning, Obi. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Good. You're sounding fresh and nice with a tinge of smile in your voice this morning, Zalika. I'm picking that up.
Well, I'm actually trying to hide the stuffiness from having gotten wet in the rain yesterday.
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. All right, well, stock up on your extra stock of vitamin C and so on so you can keep, well, you know, your work is never ended, you know, well, on both sides, the legal and the political side never ended. So you have to be up, fit, and ready at all time. Am I correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great. All right, so, Madam Attorney, very, very interesting situation here in Jamaica. Never a dull moment. And when we can appreciate when our athletes basically burn the track and, you know, we have youngsters come out of high school at the top of their game and so on and so forth. And, you know, our old lady is helped by someone along the roadway and so on. And we can heal those things, or somebody um, lost their wallet even and so on, and we say well, and they recover and take back to someone with everybody, and we heal those things and say, listen, those are things that are good for Jamaica. But certainly what we saw on Friday coming out of the full court there, you know, the constitutional court here in Jamaica, leave us quite embarrassed as it relates to even the way in afterwards from the Minister of Justice and indeed the Attorney General. So I want you to just chronicle for me quickly, Madam Attorney, what happened and what led us to what we saw culminate on Sunday with the court basically remove the DPP from office, and I am saying, you know, very looking very embarrassed. The MDP must be embarrassed, you know.
Yes, absolutely. So what has essentially happened is something that I certainly cannot recall having had any experience of in recent time. And that was last year. You would recall there was quite a bit of public furor when the government hastily brought legislation to the parliament to essentially amend the constitution and to extend the years, the retirement years of the Director of Public Prosecution. You would recall, Obi, that quite a number of persons who have spoken out against
Absolutely.
Including someone from the office of the Director of Public Prosecution,
Miss
again
Pike.
was
Miss Pike.
Absolutely. And so it really is a situation that was born from controversy. It originated in controversy, and it has led to quite a controversial death, so to speak, because the court has now declared that the Director of Public Prosecution, it's unconstitutional for the Director of Public Prosecution to elect to extend her time or her tenure. So she doesn't have the power constitutionally to so decide. The Constitution provides that any such extension should be arrived at after consultation with the opposition. So the Prime Minister and the opposition must both have discussions and consultations.
The chief parliamentarian, which would be the opposition leader and the Prime Minister.
Correct. And so it is not for the office holder to elect whether or not he or she wishes to continue. The Constitution provides for what ought properly to take place. And so that was found to be unconstitutional. And so we have a situation where the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice actually came out to say that in respect of the judgment, they will be appealing it. And I believe that the Minister of Justice indicated that the government would be seeking a stay of execution pending the appeal, and that clearly would result in the country being almost in a constitutional crisis for the reason that, it's really settled law, Obi,
Yes.
that you can't seek a stay of execution as it relates to a declaratory judgment.
Absolutely, Madam Attorney. And let us spend a little bit of time on that, because that's really my bone of contention in the main. Because how could you have someone as learned as Delroy Chuck, the Minister of Justice, and indeed the AG, who you would expect would back him up immediately before that draft speech was basically delivered, to say, no, Delroy, you're embarrassing yourself, you're embarrassing the government, and you're embarrassing the country, because that is something that even a person who is not legally trained would be able to understand as it relates to how you treat declaratory judgment. Talk to us on that, Madam Attorney. Spend a little time there. Educate our people.
So to start with, it's important for persons to understand exactly what is a declaratory judgment.
Indeed.
You have different types of judgments. You have judgments that persons are accustomed to, the usual judgments, which are coercive judgments, meaning that they force you to do something. So you take somebody to court because the person failed to do something or breached some agreement with you. And the usual remedy is that the court is going to order for them to compensate you to reimburse you, for example. So you're accustomed to those kinds of judgments where there is something that the court orders for you to do, and if you don't do it, then you know you can be locked up if you fail to pay the monies. So the court is simply, when the court hands down a declaratory judgment, the court is simply setting forth what the legal position is in respect of a dispute that is before the court. So the court isn't forcing you to do something or not do something. The court is simply stating what the existing law is. So it doesn't create new legal rights, it simply declares what the law is. So when you declare what the law is, that by itself is not, it does not contain an order that can be enforced, because the court is simply telling you that this is the law. Now, the convention, the constitutional convention, because persons might be wondering, what's the purpose of simply having a judgment where the court declares that this is the law, but then there is nothing that comes after that? And the answer for that is that a lot of the things that exist in the law are based on convention or tradition.